Welcome to the Life of Logos podcast. I'm Ken, and you're watching Storytime with Ken. Today's episode, we have Micah's Radio. Micah's a guy in his 30s. He loves thrifting. He loves buying stuff from Goodwill, taking it and flipping it for money. So he'll take an old dresser, he'll sand it down, he'll repaint it, refinish it, put it on Facebook Marketplace and make a whole lot of money from it. And he learned that he can do this with more than just furniture. He started getting into, old radios, old clocks, just really anything vintage he can get his hands on. He will take it, he'll buy it, and he'll flip it. He has a couple pieces that he really enjoys for himself, but it's very rare that he keeps anything that he's not looking to sell. But every now and again, he'll stumble across something that he'll keep for himself for a memento or just to add to his collection in his apartment. One day he goes to a flea market and he's going through all kiosks that they have, and he's going from stand to stand to stand looking for a cool piece of furniture that he can maybe flip and potentially sell. He sees a couple nightstands. The nightstands are cool, but they're overpriced. So he's like, I don't really want to pay that for these nightstands. I could flip them and still make more, but my profit margin isn't as big as I would want it to be for all the trouble. So he passes up on the nightstands. He sees this big grandfather clock that looks like it might work and goes to the back. He opens it up and it's full of cobwebs. The gears look shot. They're rusty. And Mike is like, I'm good at fixing stuff, but I never fixed a clock. It's too much work. I could probably call somebody to fix the clock, but the outside does, it's going to take some work, but for all the work the outside is going to take, but then I'm going to have to hire somebody to fix the clock part. Too much. I'm not doing that. So he keeps walking, and Micah eventually comes across what looks like this 1950s radio. Oh, that's pretty sick. And he asks the vendor, hey, can I plug this in? Does it work? The vendor's like, I don't know. I heard that it's stuck on a station or two, but if you're in the AM radio, give it a shot. You know what? I'll give you a discount on it, $10. Micah's like, $10 for this? I could sell it probably not even working for at least $100. So Mike is excited. He's like, yeah, I got $10. Throws the money at him, take my money, and runs off with the clock, puts it in his car, gets home with it, and says, okay, thing should work. Plugs it in, and it kind of gurgles a little bit. And he's like, okay, well, maybe I need to peel open the back and start soldering and get my wires out and see if there's a way if I can fix this thing. So he gets all his equipment out and he gets to really fixing this thing. He's concentrated. He's got his manual out, how to fix these radios. And by his manual, I mean ChatGPT and the internet, because what else will you use? You think he had a book? Ain't nobody read no book. This man ChatGPT the hell out of that. And he was like, how do you figure this out? So he tries his best to figure it out. And ChatGPT gives him all these ways to do it. Goes to freaking Lowe's, Home Depot, get some more equipment, comes back, solder. And he's like, it should work by now, right? He plugs it in and he hears the haunting little crispy, crackly sound of a time far, far gone. Static, just static. And as he hears the static, he's like, can I get a station out of this? I should be able to just turn the knob, right? And I should be able to get an AM. That's what the guy said, right? An AM station or two. I just want to see if it works. And he doesn't hear anything. And he's like, man, it really just is static. So he unplugs it, he forgets about it, and he goes on about his life and his day. The next few months were pretty tough for Micah. Micah lost his grandfather, who was, kind of the rock of his family. He taught Micah everything he knew as a kid. He went fishing with him, went golfing, did all the typical old man stuff with him. Gave him all the wisdom that he could. He was involved with the young lady for a little bit. Quick flame, he fell head over heels for. That didn't work out. Started a new job. The new job was great. It seemed like he was doing everything right. He's moving up the ladder, and all of a sudden, he gets laid off, and Mike is just like, man, I just can't catch a break. And he's going through town, and people are asking, hey, Micah, how you doing, man? You good? Yeah, I'm great. You look a little down, man. You sleeping, dog? Your eye a little sunk in. Your face look crusty. Your jaw look shrunk in. Are you eating, brother? You good? Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Just working on this big project at work, and I'm just really putting myself into it. How's the girl? Your girl good? Oh yeah, she's awesome. She's amazing. She's the greatest. Love her. Oh, how's your grandpa? Is your grandpa okay? He's holding it down. He really is. Rock, man. Oh, can't wait to go fishing with him. And he just continually lies to people around him, and he bottles up everything that's going on with him. And he just continues to move through his day as much as he can. As time goes on, he gets in a state of depression, and he just doesn't get out of bed. He stays in bed way too late, goes to bed early, and he's just not making the most out of his life. He has no social life anymore. He's not going out with his friends. He's not going out to bars. He's not going out to movies. He's not doing anything extracurricular. He's just in the house watching TV, doom scrolling on Instagram, watching story time with Ken. Outside of that, he has nothing else going on. But then the idea comes to him, maybe I should try to make that radio work. That's still over there. And sitting there, he's looking at him. He plugs it in and he turns it on. And he hears the soft whir of the static going on in the background. And as that static is going, he's just like, man, I'm not going to get anything out of this. But he's so tired and depressed, he doesn't even want to turn it off. So he walks off and the static is still going. And when he turns his back off to the radio, he hears from behind him, you're not tired. You're avoiding hurt. And Micah perks up and he's like, what? And he looks over at the radio and he's like, that's the only thing that was on. Like it was clear as day. And I know it came from this direction. I know that was the radio. So he looks at it and he's like, that's so weird. It hit him to his core and it resonated. But he's like, there's no way. There must be like a show going on or like some type of radio something. And maybe I just caught like a glimpse of it. But as disturbing as that line was for him, he was still pretty excited because he was like, hey, at least I made this thing work, right? So he's like, yeah. Micah decides, I'll just keep it on the off chance that, maybe it'll say something else or I'll finally get like a station to fully come through and maybe I can tinker with it more. So his mom calls on the phone and he had nothing else going on. So he has a call from his mom and he's just sitting there talking to her and just lying about everything that's going on in his life. And he's just, yeah, this is great. That's fine. And, oh, I went on an adventure not too long ago. And, oh, yeah, eating just fine. Hygiene's great. Love that girl. All right, now. I'll talk to you later. Click. Hangs up the phone. One of his best friends calls and, again, similarly asks how he's doing, asks how the job search is going. You still looking for jobs? Is everything else in life going okay for you? How you moving? Everything cool? And he's like, yeah, everything's cool. Everything's cool, man. I love it. Everything is just perfect, peachy. And then Micah hangs up the phone. And he's like, well, I should probably go to bed. Turns his back again, heads towards his bedroom door, and he hears this voice come out of nowhere, and it says that you pretend that you're okay so that no one asks you questions. You don't have to sit there and relive what happened or reflect on what's going on with you in your life. And Mike is like, I reflect. I do everything I need to do. Like, what do you mean I need to relive and reflect my life? What? And then he gets really upset. And he's like, this freaking radio is gotta chill. Like, is this thing just telling me the truth or something? Like, what is this? Like, everything, he can just tell that there's something just mystic about this radio. And he's like, I'm not rocking with this. Even if it does tell me the truth, like, I'm not rocking with it. And he's asking just random questions now. He's like, is the sky blue? And the radio goes, yes. And then he's like, what's the direction below north, the opposite of north? And the radio goes south. And Micah has a realization that this radio can only tell the truth. And he's like, okay, that's pretty cool. So he asks the radio, what have I lost? What's the biggest thing that I've lost recently? And the radio says, yourself. But it's at no point anyone's fault other than yours. You didn't lose yourself in other people, and people didn't take you away from you. You gave too much of yourself, and it's exclusively your fault. Micah gets upset. He rips the radio out of the wall and he takes it overhand. He just chucks it at the wall. Boom! And the radio crashes. The little parts of it fall, and it's all over the place. And he's just mad. And he's sitting there and he's heaving. He's just mad, angry face. He's red. His skin is boiling. He's just, I hate this. Well, his blood's probably boiling too, not his skin. His skin was boiling. It probably hurt a lot more than his blood. But you get it, freaking literary devices. But anyway, he mad. He real mad. And he's like, this is freaking radio talking to me slimy. Talking to me greasy for no reason, man. Yeah, I have things that I need to work on. Yeah, I need to reflect more. Yeah, I need to go back through some things in my life and sort some things out. Yeah, sometimes I lie about my life so that people don't ask more questions and check on me because I don't want to go over things and I don't want to work on myself. But this radio ain't got no business telling me that. So Mike is just sitting there, and as he's thinking all this stuff and shouting at this guy, he starts to cry. For the first time since his girl left him, since the first time that his grandpa passed, since the first time that he didn't get that job, he got passed over for the promotion and instead got laid off. Mike could just cry. And he just pours his little heart out, and he's sniffling, and he ugly crying. He crying from up in here. He got snot bubbles, wiping his nose, using his sleeve, rocking. His neighbors are knocking on his door, you good, bro? And he, leave me alone. And Mike is just going through it. But in there, he closes his eyes, and he makes a promise to himself. And when he opens his eyes, the radio is back on the desk. And it's broken, but it's not as broken as it should be. There was little pieces of glass on the ground. There was screws missing. The speaker part was falling out. Most of it was together, but there was still a piece or two, that was broken. So Michael looks at it and he says, I should probably fix this. So he goes over to the radio and pulls out his screwdriver and he goes to work. He starts screwing stuff back together, gets some hot glue and some super glue. Not the Elmer's. He gets the good glue out and he starts painting strips of wood back together. Eventually, hours pass, it's late into the night, and he's fixed the entirety of the radio. And he plugs it back in and he turns it on and he stares at it and he just waits. And Micah says, is there anything you have to say? Is there anything else you want to tell me? What else do you know? The radio is staticky, but still silent for the most part. Micah starts to get upset. Tell me now. What do you know about me? What do I know? Is there something I'm missing right now? He's at this point pleading with the radio to tell him anything that it can about him because he hasn't done the work to reflect on himself. He doesn't know what's been going on with him in the past months or maybe even year of all these different events happening in his life. And he's pleading desperately with his radio. Tell me the truth. And he finally hears over the top of the static, clear as day, you're fixing me because no one else will tell you the truth about yourself. Not even you. You're not even telling yourself the truth about you. You lie to yourself more than anyone else who hurt you. But it's up to you to fix yourself like you fixed me. And then the radio goes quiet again. And Elias is sitting there confused and he's doing everything he can to hold it together. And he's steaming, he's mad, but he's processing it. And he's trying to figure out what do I make of this? And how do I move forward from that? How do I take that? What do I do with that? So he goes to sleep and he wakes up and he goes back over to the radio. He turns it on again, ready to ask it another question. But when he turns it on, it's just old people music. It's just 50s tunes, 60s tunes, and it's just working like a regular radio. And he's just waiting. He's going through all the different stations and he's just going through trying to hear static, but he doesn't hear static. He barely hears anything. Every time he gets a pocket of static, there's always one channel overlapping another one. that has some type of broadcast in there. So there's never a clean pocket of static that he can get to again. And after hours of trying, I think he realizes that there's no way to get back to that. It's just a regular radio again. It's not a radio of truth. And the truth is really in him the whole time. Well, that's the story. What do you think the radio represented? Is there anything else in Elias's life that maybe he should have been on the lookout for prior to losing himself in all these different stages of him experience loss after loss after loss? Probably talking to people would have helped him a lot, and being able to reach out to a friend or family member. Like, people checked on him. People wanted to say, hey man, like, how are you doing? Like, you seem off, and you need people on your team who are going to like recognize when you're off or like not doing so well. And it seems like he had those people ready to check in and jump in for him, but he wasn't on his pivot point. Like, he wasn't standing firm in who he was. And because of that, he didn't want to answer questions. He didn't want to relive anything. He didn't want to take accountability for the things that had happened. So he ended up in this situation that really exacerbated itself due to nothing other than himself. So in that, what do you guys get from that? Do you identify with Micah at all? Is there anything in that story that really spoke to you? Where did that radio come from? Y'all think that radio had like cool origins? Was there somewhere that it came from that maybe leads to it being able to tell the truth or look into Elias, into Micah a little bit more? Who knows? I'll tell you who knows. The folks who have the Storytime with Ken storybook. The Storytime with Ken storybook has all of these short stories that you hear in it in a much longer form. They have more detail, they have more characters, they have more plot points, but it's all the same core theme per story, right? So if you hear Micah, if you hear Elias, if you hear Jonas, if you hear any of these people, Jack, if you hear any of these characters in there, it's still their story. However, there's going to be a lot more detail about like what's going on with them versus just hearing it from me. So check out the Story Time with Ken book, storybook. We called it something like that. Storybook with Ken, Storytime Storybook with Ken, Storytime Storybook with Ken. That's what it's called. Y'all check that out. I'll see y'all soon. Until next time, keep living your best life. Stay true to yourself. And I really can't wait to see y'all again. Later.